are officially, I feel like my mic is really loud. Sorry. We are officially in snub season in the NBA. So we're excited to talk about some all-star starters here in just a moment. But we also have some drama in the NBA, specifically around Jimmy Butler for like what feels like the third week in a row.
I would say it's been like a month running now. What do you mean?
Yeah, so we got drama, and then there was a trade that went down between the Suns and the Jazz, which I think is a little like on paper, it definitely made me go, "Wait, what? You did that much?" So we can talk
The
about
Jazz are out here trading like future seventh graders who they're going to draft eventually.
Right. So good for them. We'll obviously get into that a little bit more, and a lot of that will hinge on Bradley Beal, which we'll dive into as well.
Bradley Beal's got the greatest agent of all time, and again, we'll get into it a little bit.
And I do want to ask, like, do you? Oh man, and like, I think it's because I care about how people feel about me too much.
No, let it rip. Let it rip, buddy. You know,
like,
listen. You know, I got your back. Let it fly.
No. I mean, from like, okay, you're Bradley Beal, right? Clearly, everyone wants you to waive the no trade clause so that they could go get Jimmy Butler. If you say no, you get your cash. If you say yes, you go somewhere and probably still get cash. But if you say no and you stay, you have an entire fan base that you play for that now hates you. And like,
hate the organization. That's their fault. Like, it's their fault. It hasn't worked out. It's not Bradley Beal's fault for getting a no trade clause.
but like you hold the key. You hold the key to make none of this be a problem.
Why?
So like,
why am I? Why is me? You guys trying to get better?
Why do you let me?
Why do I have to turn the key in the door here and make that happen? Cash, run me my check. I earned what I earned.
Dude, that's wild. So either way, we'll talk about that.
Washington let him sign that, even going back to the day. Like, I mean, and obviously he's waived it before. He waived it to go to Phoenix, which made a lot of sense.
But that was because he wanted to go win. Like, and clearly it's not happening.
It just hasn't worked out the way they thought it would. And I mean, part of that is, I think, a lot of the just unfortunate to tread on Bradley Beal's tires, which we'll take a way deeper Suns dive. We're going to talk. We hit them a little bit last week too, but they definitely are one of the more, no pun intended, the hotter teams of the trade deadline. So,
and hot is something we need right now. I drove into the office today and it was 23 degrees in Florida.
That's great. I mean, listen, Florida got snow. We got to talk about that. I mean, Jackson didn't get a ton, but like right above it did. The Panhandle. Shout out to one of my former interns, Amy, posted a picture out near Panama City by like one of the Waffle Houses. They had like 6.5 inches of snow. Like, what is going on? I can't really like talk too much though, because like I drove to work the other day and it was 1 degree when I started my car. So
we canceled Jacksonville because of the threat of snow, canceled all school for a day. So everyone down here had their first, like Quinn had her first school snow day.
Yeah.
Everyone got a snow day. And then at least in the Duval, like out west a little bit more, and like you said, north, there was some, but like Jacksonville didn't really get it. So it was just really windy and rained. And it was miserable. And everyone's like, we're just stuck at home with our kids and it's freezing cold. We can't even go outside to do something. Like, we just had to bear down. But it was it was cool. And obviously there were a lot of jokes about how Floridians can't drive. And we did. So, Jacksonville closed all the bridges because they all iced over. They all froze over. And like, we're called the city of bridges for a reason. There's a lot of freaking bridges here. But yeah, downtown, like if you were downtown, you couldn't get out of downtown because all those bridges, the Hart Bridge, Main Street, Acosta, all of them got shut down. They had cops sitting out front of it. They weren't letting people over. People were like running on it and sliding down the
I mean, it's real. Is Seven Bridges still open?
Seven Bridges is still open. I think so. Yes.
Okay. Sick.
I think so.
I always think of that. That's why I know how many bridges there are in Jacksonville.
Bro, you're going to have to come back down. Like, obviously the Jags leaving for 2 years to like renovate the stadium's really going to hurt downtown, but downtown's really starting to cook. There's some really good coffee shops that are opening up. There's some rooftop bars. Subtle flex, got invited to a grand opening VIP for dude, Cascade is playing. Wait,
what? Like every time we touch Cascade?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lighting up the St. John's River.
Cascade's playing. We're gonna be there. That'll be fun. And then like DJ Pauly D is like next week or something like that. Like their announced lineup was Cascade for the grand opening, DJ Pauly D, and then Trapped. I was like,
oh my god, that is disgusting. What? No, that who booked those acts, man?
come
I
on,
mean,
man.
we
You
need to
don't
have a
like
conversation.
Headstrong? You don't like Headstrong? Like, come
It's not
on.
about Headstrong. I'm not putting Headstrong after DJ Pauly D. What are we doing?
There's like weeks in between. They're not like the
All
same
right.
night. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Same.
that is a nasty lineup if they're on the same night.
But it's all downtown, all like right by the Jags stadium. So like when the Jags do come back and everything's nice, as long as the businesses can hold through, like it is going to be a few years. But then, dude, downtown's gonna be nice. I know they're really trying to copy. It feels like Tampa's downtown. If you've been out there for any of the shows or anything like that for hockey,
Yeah, I mean
that area is the way to go.
they have so many examples, and
Mhm.
this is not. Let me start this by saying this is not me trash talking Jacksonville. You know, I love Jacksonville. I spent 3.5 years there, some of the best years of my life. Downtown has been the biggest disappointment of all time for like 55 years, and it's extra disappointing because it's right on the river. It's right on the St. John's River.
You got riverfront property,
prime real estate where they could have. Like it is so tailor-made because the stadium is there. There's a few other like businesses that have held up, like Intuition is down there now, obviously Intuition Brewing Company. And so like it has all the tools to just be incredible. And it's not. It hasn't been. Like they've had places on and off. Like there are genuinely a few businesses I love. Chamblin's Book Mine, another great example. Truly one of the best bookstores I've ever been in anywhere. I could spend hours in that store.
Maxwell House. Great establishment.
It is.
Right next to where everyone needs to tailgate. Oh, and also the prison. Like
well, right. That's the thing, is it's like, right, you put the prisoners have the best view of the river. Like dude, that's not really
I didn't tell you. So we're gonna go down such a rabbit hole. We're already 7 minutes in, but it's okay. You're learning a lot about Jacksonville right now. So the two parking garages, which are like the go-to spots for anything that's tailgating happening downtown.
Yeah.
Those you now have to you get passes for them. Like you either have them or you don't. And if you don't, you can't pay to park in them anymore.
Great.
So now what you have to do is you have to go behind ViStar under the bridge. They have this area that they've roped off for public parking. Like, so my dad and I, we went to the Jags game, right? And my thing was like, oh, we'll just park in the parking garage. I don't have tailgate. I don't like lot J. I don't have a ticket for that. So I'm like, we'll just park in the parking garage. We get there and it's like, no, you don't have like a season pass. You can't park here. And so we went past, and you have to park under the bridges, essentially up against the barbed wire fence of the prison is where you park your car.
Right.
Again, not a big deal. It was like $20 parking. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
And my dad was like blown away that we were able to get out of traffic in like 30 minutes after the game. Like
way out. You gotta get on MLK. You get on MLK, you got a shot.
Listen, and I'll tell you what though, man, I don't envy anybody that was trying to lead the Eagles game last week. That with the snow, I was like, no one's getting home for 6 hours.
Nope.
But either way, so it's right by the prison, and what people need to know is there's a little like river stream that you do have to go over a bridge to get to that part of the prison. So after the game, we're walking back, and it was high tide. The street flooded. Nobody could walk to their car without getting into like knee-deep water. And I have a Honda Civic, and I was like, we can't leave my car. If I turn this on, the exhaust's underwater. Like we can't go. So we literally just had to sit in a puddle, drink beer, and wait for like the high tide to go down.
Great. Yeah, I really hope that it turns.
It will. It is. I'm telling you. We're already seeing it. Businesses are opening down there. Deca Live, which is the venue, like they're one that is opening up. Underbelly's doing renovations. There's like rooftop bars that are being opened. Obviously, Shad's Four Seasons that he's opening up. That's gonna have a bar and everything on the first floor and a rooftop on like the 5th floor. Like we're gonna get there, but like
you got to give people a reason to live there.
Just wait. And it sounds so funny. Like if you're thinking about moving to Jacksonville, just wait till 2027 when the Jags are, I think maybe it's 2028. Whenever the Jags are back, that's when we're back. Like that's when it's like, yo, we're going to hit the ground running. It's going to be crazy. So like selfishly from the side that I'm on promotions, like I'm trying to make good with all these venues. Cause like, look, 2-3 years down the line, like we're going to be cooking. Let's go. Like, yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I mean, look, you have like Springfield is behind it, and like you have so many other just
That's where I
cities
was.
that
That's
have
where
a
I was.
similar. No, I know that's where you were last night.
Yeah.
It's like, well, like look at San Antonio. Look at even Oklahoma City. Like I've been to San Antonio. The Riverwalk is amazing. It lives up to the hype. I have not been to Oklahoma City, but I have a buddy who was literally when he was driving back from the West Coast to the East Coast said that Oklahoma City was the one of the best cities he ever been in. Like
Wow.
Stockton. Yeah, Brainiac said that. It was crazy.
Wow. Okay.
Really bigging up the Riverwalk along the way. Said he had a great time.
Okay.
I don't know. There's just a lot of models that Jacksonville could copy off of, and it
Yeah.
feels. I hope it becomes it because it deserves to be, and it's kind of disappointing currently.
It just sucks that the nightlife is gonna get so good, and I'm way too washed for nightlife. And now, like the Deck Alive people,
Brother, you
bro,
lived through peak Jack's Beach, though. Listen, be thankful that you were outside then. That's all that matters.
bro,
Don't what's that saying? Or don't be sad because it's over. Smile because it happened.
Dude, they sent me the invite for VIP night, and it's like, dress formal, wear a suit jacket, and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, I don't even own a suit jacket anymore. And then on top of that, it's like party starts at 11, and I was like, dear Lord,
fam. Wait,
I
signed up for Vegas this weekend or Jacksonville.
I'm like, I'm gonna sleep for 2 hours by 11, dude. Like, what? So
yeah, I was firmly under a blanket at 11 p.m. last night.
Oh, dude, it was 9 o'clock, and I was at the Spar Gala, and I was like, I gotta go. Like, I can't. I gotta go, dude. It is crazy.
Yeah.
So either way, let's talk basketball now that we're
People
11.
Gotta go. I would say they're going to the NBA All-Star game in San Francisco.
Yeah.
It's, on February 16th. We got our All-Star starters here for warm-up jumpers.
Here, I can read them off. I got them here. You got Curry, SGA, LeBron, Durant, Jokic, Brunson, Mitchell, Tatum, Giannis, and Kat. So, congratulations to them, but let's fully flip into who should not have been getting that. And I go with Steph Curry. He is the first one that should not be getting that. Although they are relying on him a lot, he's averaging 22 points. I would say Ant probably a little more deserving. In my opinion, he leads the league with 3-pointers made. That was going into Thursday at least, and he has I think Curry's 33s behind him. Again, that number might have changed since Thursday when I did this show prep. But Edwards is obviously or is also making them at a higher percentage right now. And with the Warriors kind of just being middle of the pack a little bit, and the Timberwolves right around the same spot, I don't know. Maybe there's an argument to be made. Just go from the stats and let him be the one. I get it. It's a popularity vote a little bit. So I get why Steph got it, but probably should get him in there as well. The other one that kind of stuck out to me would be Wemby. I know he's going to have a long career, and he'll be in here numerous more times. And I'm almost positive at some point during this podcast, we're going to be like, damn, this guy it's so annoying that he's on here still. But probably could have started that off this year. I know Jokic was a lock, but maybe a argument to be made over Davis or Durant, maybe even LeBron a little bit. So
it's tough because it's like right. It's like where do you put him in positionally? If you put him in positionally at center, Jokic has got to be the guy this year. Like I think listen, like you said, Wemby will be there for years to come.
Yeah,
and Wemby's having a phenomenal season. If you want to say he's been one of the top 5 players in the West this season, I'm not really inclined to disagree there. And so that's where the argument is for me. I'm not putting him in there over Jokic. I guess that's my point. If we want a sneaky forward beef, and again, this is a guy who the statistics probably don't jump off the page as much, and it probably doesn't help who he plays for. How about Domantas Sabonis? Sabonis has been phenomenal this year.
But I feel like Sabonis is always forgotten about. Like, that's not a way to discredit him, but he's always slept on.
You're right, but and again, that's part of it being a popularity contest. Domantas Sabonis is never going to get an all-star starter bid over LeBron James and Kevin Durant. Like, it's just not going to happen. But like, you want to get in some numbers. Sabonis 5th in VORP. He's 5th in box plus minus. He's 9th in offensive box plus minus. He is a little behind LeBron there. But we're talking about like 0.1 right now.
And LeBron's
he hasn't missed the time that
it.
KD has had. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, he's right.
Well, that's a big part of it too, right? KD has been out a little bit, with the injury. So it's
KD was phenomenal when he started and came in. Like, I do think that's important too.
Yeah.
I mean, Sabonis is leading the league in rebounds.
Well, out of curiosity, do you have any beef with anybody from, like, we kind of went immediately West Coast. I feel like East Coast is probably fine. Like, I don't really have much
Yeah, I
unless
don't have any. I
unless
don't
you
have
wanna
anything at
say
all.
unless you really wanna make something for, like, LaMelo, but, you know,
Yeah, I mean, that would have
Jalen,
been it, but even
Donovan,
like,
eh,
LaMelo's missed time, Donovan's team has won way more games.
and Brunson's Brunson. Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
and, yeah, and then again, if you weren't gonna do it positionally, like, none of the other guys, Tatum, Giannis, Cat, like, you know, uh, I don't have a problem with the East really that much. I mean, selfishly, throw Maxey in the mix, but, you know,
No,
that's
Maxey's nowhere near that level this year. Like, I
I
think
know, but I still want him in there.
no, I hear you. I think, yeah, I mean, I'm fine with Brunson there. If anything, you would maybe cannibalize it and have 2, like, Cleveland guards, like, maybe you make the argument for Darius Garland, but, like, I'm not making that argument. I
It
think
is
Jalen Brunson should be there.
it is worth mentioning the Knicks are the only one that doubled down with Cat and Brunson.
I mean, Cat's having the best season of his career. Like,
Yep.
I think Cat arguably, you look at MVP candidates this year, he's right there for me. I mean, you wanna talk
Mhm.
about the Knicks trade early on for Cat being it's quite literally the best case scenario right now. He's a big
Can
reason why
you
they're moving forward.
can
Um,
you, out of curiosity, it's actually I'm trying to see. Out of this is pretty wild. Out of the Knicks, who do you think on the team is playing the most minutes?
Josh Hart.
No, he's second,
Is it
actually.
OG?
No,
Bridges.
Bridges
Yeah,
is
Bridges.
actually by, like, a significant amount more.
I mean, that's his thing though, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
he's been like the NBA's Iron Man since coming into the league.
Yeah, dude. Hart is at 1,663 minutes. Bridges at number 1 is 1,736. The only player off the Knicks that would be like the first person that would be right behind them is Ant. So another kind of tip of the cap to potentially for him to be deserving of it. And he's only at 1,616. So like Bridges has almost 100, does have over 100 minutes more than the top player on the next team. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, again, it's the perfect combo, right? Like,
Yeah.
Bridges plays all the time
Yeah.
anyway. Like,
Yeah.
he was doing it in Phoenix. He was doing it when he was
Mhm.
in Brooklyn.
That's
Now
right.
he's got Tibbs too on top of it, who we
I
know
was gonna
Tibbs
say.
listen, Tibbs loves his size. When he gets his rotation locked in, there's no doubt about it. He loves his guys, and they're gonna be running. So,
Brunson's, right Brunson's in the top 5 for those 2. Well, obviously, the first 4 of them being Knicks players, Ant being the other one, so
yeah, I mean, I would wonder in the second half if you start to see them maybe slow down a
you
little bit, but I
should.
think we already kinda know the answer there. Like,
Well, yeah.
it's more of like, look, I think this Knicks team, this Eastern Conference is open. Like, I
Yeah.
think, with them, with Cleveland, with Boston, like, they're kind of the 3 teams right now. We'll talk a little bit about Milwaukee later. Maybe they're climbing up too, but, those kind of feel like the favorites to win. None of them have really super. I mean, they're all playing well, but none of them have really, ran away with the conference the way that OKC has out west. So,
And
um,
it is worth mentioning for your Sabonis argument. I'm just trying to do last second fact checking here. I think he has the most minutes per game out of anybody on the starters list, in the West.
in this,
I'm almost positive he
I
does,
don't think
which
I
is
have
crazy.
minutes. I think of all the stats I have up right now, I don't know if minutes per game is one I have
He's
up.
the only people above him in minutes per game is Tatum, Fox, Brunson, Edwards, who's also not on it, OG, Hart, and Bridges. Yeah, so yeah, he's yeah, out of everybody on that list, Curry, SGA is probably close. LeBron, Durant, and Jokic, Sabonis has more than all of them. So
Yeah, I mean, can't say I'm really too surprised. Oh, I mean, especially with Braun, like,
well, maybe a little bit with SGA. SGA is there. He's in the top 15. He's at 12 right now, in minutes played per game. But still, like he would be the next closest, I guess. But
speaking of
after that,
LeBron, I'm going to Sixers Lakers on Tuesday. I will be at the Farg. Long live the king. I'll have the Sixer stuff on, but like, man, you got to go see Braun at least one more time before he gets out of here.
yeah, you got to see him one more time. I haven't seen him. I've never seen him, and I don't think I will. I don't know when I'm going to get a chance. We're going to actually.
You
We're
got to
going
catch him
to
in Orlando.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I need to see the Magic's. I really have. There's a potential. I have a chance to see him coming up, but it would really need for the things to line up. Valentine's Day weekend. No,
Yeah, I
no.
don't know about that one.
We're gonna be in Orlando. We're taking Quinn to Disney.
Oh, that's fun.
So 14th or the 16th would be our only option. They don't have a game. That actually is that all? No, that's not All Star Week, is it? I might. No.
Shoot, I just had it pulled up.
It,
Yeah, 16th.
Yeah. I was gonna say because there's a break in their schedule from
no, you will not be going to see that unless you are going to San Francisco, which Disney World, last time I checked, was not in San Francisco. So
nope. So yeah, we'll be able to do that. Although, dang, if I could get down there, are they playing? Yeah, dude. February 8th, Saturday, San Antonio. I can go see Wemby.
I thought you were trying to see Braun. I'm like, wait a minute. You have 20 years to see Wemby.
No, but that's what I'm saying is like it just kind of is working out. Like the last game before the All-Star break for Orlando looks like it might be against Wemby. I might be able to make a way down there on Saturday, the 8th.
I mean, be a good time,
Although, do I really want to drive there 2 weekends in a row?
That is a valid question. It's not the worst drive in the world, but
bro. But and you'll appreciate this, and we're getting so off topic, but it's okay. It's an off topic episode. It's fine. When we go down for Valentine's Day weekend, we're coming back on I think it's the 16th, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I told my aunt we'd meet them in Flagler, or St. Augustine to do a tour of Flagler. My cousin's thinking about going there for lacrosse.
Okay.
And so we're gonna go check out the school. And they don't do tours on Sunday, so I was like, "Cool, I'll give you the actual tour."
Flagler alum in his midst.
Let me tell you the places you're gonna actually want to know about. That Flagler probably would really hate me showing off. But so we're leaving Orlando because we have to do a character breakfast with Quinn. We're leaving Orlando probably 11 or 12 in the afternoon, lunchtime ish, which is fine. But that is also Daytona 500 day.
Oh, wow. What time does it start? The race?
Daytona, I want to say it ends at 6. And I can't remember.
Oh, you're fine. They're all going to be in the stadium.
You think? If we leave Orlando at noon, we're passing Daytona at like 1-ish maybe?
Yeah, but you're going against the traffic. You know what I mean? I guess like people.
But we still I-4. So they view Orlando as their prime market. Like people fly to Orlando and then drive to Daytona. So for sure. I kind of would be driving with everyone the same direction they're going until I can get on 95 North. So that might really suck.
Yeah, it might. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, it might suck. Like
I don't know how to go around it. There's no way to go around it either, really.
No, I mean there is. Like I did it I did one time. There was a time back in the day, and I promise we're gonna move on. But like Amber was flying out of Orlando, and I had to drive her down to Orlando. And I was driving back, and like, dude, either something big accident happened on 4. I had to take all the inland roads back up. It took me so long to get back.
That's what I mean. Like then you do the whole debate. Like and so my cousin, he flies home at 7 out of Jacksonville. So I do kind of need to get there like early enough to show him around and still get him to the airport. So like,
it's a good thing St. Augustine is right next to Jacksonville's airport. It's not like an hour and 10 minutes north.
It's like 45 minutes to an hour at much, but yeah. So it'll be fun. But yeah, I got to deal with Daytona stuff. So
yeah, you'll be put some mileage. I don't have I'm trying to think of like a C word that would be like alliterate with Cousart, like a Cousart crew, but not crew, like, you know what I mean, like type of race that would start with a C. And that
cruise, the Cousart cruise.
Yeah, the Cousart cruise 1000 is what you'll be competing in that day.
I'm getting and it's my ADD brain, but Coheed and Cambria just announced a cruise, the Coheed cruise. We need to do a drive and dish cruise where we just call it the Coos cruise. Let's get a whole boat.
The driving dish NBA podcast cruise. It's like we got like one of those little 20 people boat.
A pontoon, like a pontoon boat just going. Like 5 people can actually fit on it, and
you actually have to get rescued by the Coast Guard.
Dude, probably, honestly. I mean, I'm not driving that thing. I don't know how to do it. So
no. I mean,
as I'm trying to get there we go. Okay, my thing.
Are you okay? What's going on there?
You saw it? It blurred up. I was trying to get my camera to unblur. For those that know, we do a video. I wanted it to not be blurry on myself.
Yeah, y'all know the deal. Let us know if you come on the cruise here on the Driving Dish NBA podcast.
What would be the themes? What would be the themes of the like Drive and Dish? What would be the themes of the boat? You know how like dinners would be certain things like.
Something with sauce. You gotta way back. You want to throw it way back to the cooking with sauce days.
I don't
know what else we could.
I don't know, random player. We could bring that back. We'll pick a random. Oh my God, we'd find like the 16th man on a team to be our celebrity
Oh
guest.
my God, no, we gotta get somebody from the process. You know what it is, or like Derek Williams or something.
Yeah, KJ McDaniels is going to be the surprise guest. Actually, Elfrid Payton kind of has to come. There's no option.
Straight up, actually, yeah, that may be the answer for real. Yeah, welcome to Driving Dish NBA podcast. I'm Kevin Rafuse. Joining me as always, my co-host Justin Cousart.
The tweet I have. Thanks for the fans and the peers for voting for me as an all-star starter. 15 of them. Doesn't get old. See ya in the Bay.
All right. Well, actually, see in the Bay made me throw it out. That's not Steph, is it? LeBron's got more than 15 at this point, right?
Yes. Yeah, the 15 is what you're going to have to go off of.
Yeah, so it's got to be Steph then, right? Yeah. Wait, really?
It's not. Kevin Durant.
Oh, Durant. Yeah, you're right. Okay, that would make sense. He has 15. I'm like, who else would possibly have 15 on this list? I'm like, Giannis doesn't have 15.
Durant.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. We'll see them in the Bay. I have a tweet for you as well. You didn't see this coming. This came in right before the show. Our buddy Andrew Morgan at Nick's Brew on Twitter. He tweeted us this morning and said, Justin, I thought Washington was your NFL team. What's going on? I was getting excited for a Kevin versus Justin NFC Championship Game trash talk. Parentheses, not angry.
I appreciate the not angry because I definitely would have taken it as angry. As Andrew always does, says not angry. I appreciate that because literally, if anybody tweets me or messages me,
Justin thinks he's getting yelled at.
I got one slight flex again. A slight flex is I got to interview an AEW star the other day, Mariah May, and I've got wrestling fans in my mentions for not understanding some wrestling things, and I assume they are all angry at me.
I gotta be honest, that does nothing for me, but shout out to you. Like, I'm just not the wrestling guy, but I know there are wrestling fans out there who are probably eating that up. So I'm happy for you.
For those who know, with AEW, she is currently the world champ, AEW star, was what they told me I had to call her. Mariah May, very nice. She's awesome. She's British, so she has an amazing accent, and the interview was awesome. So a little side thing. So to answer the question on the Washington stuff, yes, Washington was my team when I moved to Jacksonville. And I became a fan of Washington because my dad was obviously a huge Eagles fan and wanted me to. And like being rebellious, I was like, no, I like Chris Cooley and Patrick Ramsey. I think it was Patrick Ramsey.
Yeah, throwback, dude. Oh my gosh.
James Thrash, dude. Come on.
He's Eagle too. He's both.
I know. He was both. And then I think Santana Moss was
Santana
another.
Moss,
Yep, Santana Moss. There was a few guys that just kind of stuck with me. And so I became a fan of Washington, and obviously they were not good, and they never were. The best I ever saw them do was lose to Sean Alexander in the playoffs in like 2001. So then I moved to Jacksonville and started up the sports show here with our TV partners, and had to cover the Jags for like 5 years in a row. Most of them were not good, but 2018 was included in that, and that was when we made the run and lost to the Patriots that we shouldn't have lost to. And so because they weren't great, but I was talking about them quite literally for 3 hours every day for 6 years, I was like, if I'm going to root for one bad team, I'm just going to drop Washington because I slowly stopped paying attention to them. And so I just kind of stopped rooting for Washington and started rooting for the Jags. And it would be such a thing for that to have happened and Washington finally get good. Like we were talking off the mic about how they might this might be it. This might be their chance. They might start this rise and who
Daniels
knows?
Looks like the guy. He looks like he's gonna be good for quite a long time.
And it would be very fitting for me to finally drop them 2-3 years ago as an NFL team that I liked cheering for. And then they're finally good. And now I'm rooting for the Jags, who are at the bottom of the barrel again.
I will say you did save yourself some trouble by dropping Washington of not having to root for two teams that Josh Harris owns. He's already ruined our life in one way enough. Unfortunately, he seems to be having more success with the football team than he does with the Eagles. I mean, dude, Jaden Daniels is really good. Like we talked a little before off the mic, like he's the only one who kind of had success against the Eagles defense in the second half of the year. I know we had our backup in, but he still threw for 5 touchdowns. You can't really fake that.
If Washington, and this is where you and I are a little bit different, because yes, for my family up north, I would love to see the Eagles win. If they don't, I will want Washington to win the whole thing. And I know that's not a Philly thing that can happen. So
Washington is like, it's just off the rivalry.
Yeah.
I mean, Washington, you're right. Like when you look at the teams in the Eagles divisions, like the rivalry with Dallas and the rivalry with the Giants has been a lot more competitive over the years, but that's more about because Washington has been down. I think this season, and the Eagles have had moments with Washington in the past, and like, we split our games this year. We won in Philly, they won in Washington. You're going to get round 3 this year. Like it should be a really good game. I think it's got the potential, obviously, to be a much bigger rivalry going forward. Sometimes it's switched. Like the Giants have been terrible, for example, for the past 10 years. Thank you again for Saquon Barkley. We appreciate you, Giants.
That's wild. Yeah, that's such a crazy.
My guy ran for 2,000 yards in his first year over. He went behind the best offensive line in the league, and now look how happy he is.
My favorite thing is all the Penn State people who are coming out about all these very nice stories about Saquon. I'm like, y'all had held on to all this while he was a Giant and waited till he was somewhere else to share.
Yeah, I mean, it's just unbelievable. It is one of the best seasons that just individually I've ever seen in an Eagles uniform. He just truly has been everything you've expected and then some. It's gonna be a tough game. Like this episode will be out before the game drops, but yeah, it's the way Washington is playing right now. Like they just have the momentum going. I think the Eagles are a better team than Washington is, but like momentum does matter. I think this is close to a 50-50 game. Like I'm leaning us only because we're at home as well. I do think that matters. Again, we didn't have Jalen Hurts last time. I would love for them to just blow the doors off Washington. I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll see. And then, Chiefs Bills later game too should be really exciting.
I was going to look it up. I'd be willing to bet that they are actually the favorite in terms of betting.
The Eagles are definitely Eagles were definitely the betting favorite last time.
It's a 6-point spread.
That's crazy to me. Like I just don't think I don't get how you've watched the past 2 weeks of football and think that the Eagles are a 6-point favorite over them. But Vegas knows this though. Vegas got last week right. Like Vegas with the Eagles and the Rams, it was a 6.5-point spread. And what did it end with? It ended as a 6-point game. Like Vegas always knows. So I hope they're right in that case. They were certainly wrong when the Commanders played Detroit. So maybe some value there potentially, honestly.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see.
Emotionally hedging by putting everything on Washington in the case that we get smoked. It's not a big deal.
It's such a it's so funny. It's such a Philly thing. Like
the Eagles just are carrying the wave right now. Like that's just the reality is that, Philadelphia sports, which, have been up and down to say the least, it's a lot more down than up right now. I mean, we've, I haven't put the fan hat on for the Sixers in quite a little bit, but this is the worst Sixers season in ages. Like it's horrible. It's easily the worst Sixers season I've had since we've started this podcast, and we podcasted a year where they won 11 games. I think the Flyers are rebuilding, but they're just kind of in limbo still. It doesn't feel like they're anywhere near contending anything soon. They're not going to make the playoffs. The Phillies have been fun and successful these last 3 years, but like 2 kind of epic flameouts in the playoffs the last few years, like blowing the NLCS up 3-2, just getting smoked by the Mets in the first round this year. So the Eagles are kind of carrying everybody's hopes right now. Like they are the one team who's been pretty consistently great. So, look, they got there 2 years ago, couldn't finish the job. You hope that if they get there this year, they're able to do it. But they got to beat Washington first. It's one at a time for sure.
Worth mentioning, we are less than a month away from spring training for baseball. Which is crazy to think about.
Off season of all time, bro.
Yep. We are already there. I'm trying to make my way out to Clearwater to go see some Phillies. We'll see.
It's a great time, dude. We loved it in Clearwater, like not just Phillies related, but all those spring training in Florida. And I've heard the Arizona ones for people who are out west as well are quite a great time.
Okay.
Although
I will say February, March is like right around red tide season for that side of the state.
When I went, red tide wasn't happening, but that might be a problem.
When I went, it was happening and it smelled terrible. So there is a little bit of that going on that you got to deal with.
Yeah, not great. Leave us a review on iTunes if you think this podcast is great. Read them on the show. We will read them at the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah,
if you're not Apple Music, Google Play Store, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Player FM, anywhere you get your podcast, you can find us.
And like we said, we're on YouTube. Find us Drive and Dish NBA podcast. You can subscribe just like you do for your podcasts, and you'll get information and notifications when new episodes are coming out.
Now, a word from our sponsors.
So let's start with the Suns Jazz trade, which is so wild on paper when you look at it. So the Suns are trading their 2031 unprotected first, sorry, to the Utah Jazz for 3 first-round picks. Is what was reported. The Suns are acquiring the least favorable firsts of the 2025 from Cleveland, Minnesota. They are also going to get the 2027 of Cleveland, Minnesota, Utah. They're also going to get the 2029 of Cleveland, Minnesota, Utah. This all kind of so that the Suns can clear up some more potential trading stuff. So I doubt they ever actually make any of these picks. But the side thought is that all this is to try to make a move for Jimmy Butler at some point. Now, it does hinge on Bradley Beal accepting the no trade clause. So there is a little bit of that going on. And I don't know if necessarily these picks are enough to get it done with Bradley Beal. So you may have to throw something more in there. I don't know what that looks like. But let's just talk about the trade as a trade in general between the Suns and Jazz. This is weird, right? Because like it's a lot moving, but nothing's actually moving.
Yeah, you're essentially you're just it's almost like futures trading in a little bit in the sense where it is. It's just all picks. It's all shuffling deck chairs and trying to get ready for, to kind of get your books now. It makes sense for both teams, right? Because if you're Phoenix, you're trying to free yourself up for a potential Jimmy Butler move or whatever else it may be. But it certainly seems like it's trending towards trying to make a splash for Jimmy Butler. For the Jazz, you're just in a position to do this, right? Like the Jazz are winning nowhere fast.
Yeah.
You potentially have more first round picks down the line now. Like that just feels like a no brainer for them. We know, first round picks are some of the ultimate currency in today's NBA. So, yeah, it's definitely interesting, but again, it's more of just, again, something to watch now. These next few days, I mean, there have been all sorts of rumors with Phoenix. I don't know if you saw that 4-team trade. Did you see that one that was floating around?
No, what's that one?
Oh, there were a bunch. So the one that everybody's been floating is the Bulls get Bradley Beal. It's a 4-team trade. Some have got it up to 5. The 5-team trade that works is the Bulls would get Bradley Beal. The Pistons would get Bobby Portis. The Heat would get Chris Middleton, Pat Connaughton, a 2027 first-round pick from that Cleveland,
Utah, Minnesota thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the 2028 first and a 2028 second. The Bucks would get Zach Lavine and the Suns would get Jimmy Butler. I mean, I think it was Kevin O'Connor that initially floated that trade.
Interesting.
There would still, I think, probably be more draft capital in there somewhere, but that's a deal that legitimately does work.
Well, and it all falls down to this, right? Is Bradley Beal willing to waive the no trade clause, which is kind of what we talked about at the beginning. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's where the Suns sit, right? We need to hear if he's in or out, and then that would at least open the door.
Yeah, and I mean, it again, because you're right, going to Chicago, I don't know, that's not really where you think he'd end up being if he's trying to compete and win.
Right. And for anybody wondering, Chicago is sitting 10 at 19 and 26. I don't know if Bradley Beal actually, I mean, you would imagine if the Heat are moving on from Jimmy, they'll fall down. So maybe you move to 9th, but
I mean, we just did this whole 5-team thing. Would you swap Bradley Beal for Zach Lavine straight up?
No.
I might.
I don't know.
I might. I think Lavine is kind of balling. Like,
I mean, that's why I'm saying I don't think I would from the Bulls side of things.
Yeah, but the Bulls don't know what they're doing. Like the Bulls are just trying to get off his way. I don't know, man. Like Lavine is 29 years old. He's giving you 24 points a game this season.
You're 3-7 in the last 10.
Like they're just not going anywhere fast. I mean, I'm pulling up Beal.
Well, that's my point. Is like, what are the Bulls trying to do? Because if you're trading for either of those guys,
a great question, buddy. I'm trying to figure it out for like 7 years.
Right. So I guess that's where I'm sitting with it. Is like I guess a lot of it. Obviously, what does Bradley Beal want to do? And then in this team trade, what do the Bulls want to do?
I would trade. Yeah, I'm looking at the numbers now. I'm trading. If I can do this deal straight up, I'm doing this for Phoenix in a heartbeat, and I'm taking Lavine, and I'm not even thinking twice. I'm literally I mean, Bradley Beal is 2 years older. He's got a lower VORP by 1.1. He's got a negative box plus minus overall right now. He's minus 1.7. Lavine's at 1.4. Like, neither of them are great defenders, but
No.
Bradley Beal's offense is kind of cratered this year. And
Yeah.
that's really the problem, is where Lavine still can go out and get you. I mean, his offensive win shares are much higher. I mean, obviously, and their usage rate isn't terribly different. Like, that's the biggest thing. It's not like Lavine is just counting empty stats here. I don't know. I mean, Bradley Beal has. I'm trying to pull up the contract, see how many years he has left on that deal. Because Lavine is still signed in for a little bit here as well. Like, that's why it was so immovable at the end of last year. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it makes a huge difference necessarily for Phoenix in the grand scheme of things, but I don't think you're doing anything right now. And
Right.
so you just, I mean, Bradley Beal's got 2 more years left on this deal after this season. He's got 53 million he's owed next year, and then he's owed 57 the following year. That 26-27 is a player option, but like, come on, he's taking that player option.
Yeah, of course.
Lavine is cheaper on top of that. Like, Lavine, you still have 2 years of control as well. Like, he's only owed 45 over the next year, and he's owed 48 in 26-27. That's a player option as well. So, like, you do, I guess with Zach Lavine, if he goes out and feels like he can get another big payday, then maybe you have to worry about that a little bit. But he's still going to be younger than Bradley Beal is at that point. Like, I don't know if there's a way to do it straight up, and I don't think it's going to be straight up. Phoenix may have to move some of these picks in here, but if Jimmy isn't available, that may not be the worst idea for Phoenix.
I don't hate it. I said no because I hated it from the Bulls side, assuming the Bulls are trying to win right now. And if that's the case, then you can't do it almost for the exact numbers that you were just showing off. So maybe you do use that to if you are resetting, take on that contract and get some picks out of it or something like that to regroup. But then you do that, you have some guys on your team that you also have to look at a little bit and see what you want to do with them. So that will be interesting to see. Something else that's worth mentioning, Jimmy Butler is getting suspended for the second time for missing apparently a team flight. They announced that on Wednesday. The other thing I saw while doing prep for this is that he got into an altercation at the reserve club. Someone posted a video of it the other night. So, like, maybe there's another suspension coming on down the line. I don't know. I know Windhurst said Jimmy's number one focus is getting traded. So maybe this is all part of that plan to get traded. And he does prefer the Phoenix Suns, which is worth mentioning, which then brings us to the other topic. Was someone floated out the option of, should the Grizzlies go take a chance of getting Jimmy Butler. And he, as you were alluding to me off the mic, said he doesn't want to go to Memphis.
No, Chris Haynes said that. They want to go anywhere other than Memphis. He like vividly he singled them out is what I'm trying to say here. And I think it was kind of interesting because on paper I'm like, man, is Jimmy, like, is that the piece that puts Memphis over the top? Like, Memphis already is playing some great ball right now. It feels like they're a contender for real. Like, it's, you can't put anybody other than OKC in the West as the favorites, but like Memphis is right there in that tier too. Like, I could see them in the conference finals type deal.
Yeah.
So that to me, like, again, we've talked about the Jimmy, like, pros and cons a lot now at this point. It's been a few weeks of it, but like, I would have understood taking the swing there. If he doesn't want to go there, then all right, so be it. Like, I think you feel pretty good if you're Memphis and you run it back with who you're going to. I mean, Phoenix and Milwaukee seem like the realistic destinations at this point. If Milwaukee wants to move on from Chris Middleton, you bring him in there to play with Dame. It would be ironic after all that Jimmy and Dame play together and it's in Milwaukee and not Miami. But the way Giannis is playing right now, like, it kind of gives you, the core is putting it together. Like, Milwaukee's been a team who, I think my worst take so far this season is I called Milwaukee cooked pretty early. Like, not aging so well right now, but that would be a swing that I think would make a lot of sense. Like you mentioned with Beal, Middleton would have to get moved in that deal just to make the money work. But I mean, they're the team to kind of sleep on. It does feel like, to an extent as well, Jimmy's holding up the market. Like, I don't really know what else is going to happen until Jimmy happens. Like, it's kind of, we talked a little bit about Cam Johnson in the past.
That's what I was thinking. Well, I think they're all tied together. Is nothing moves until one moves. And I feel like, again, from either team, it's the same debate we kind of had last week. Is like, if you go get Jimmy from both sides of the argument is like, well, good, we got Jimmy. Did we overpay for Jimmy or whatever? Did we give too much for Jimmy when we could have gotten similar production from Cam? Or we went and got Cam, but Jimmy's on the market. Could we have went and got Jimmy? Like, depending on how you feel about it. It feels like a weird standstill.
Well, it is, and it's gonna only get weirder if Jimmy just comes out and says, like, I'm only gonna want to go to Phoenix, and then I only want to play there because of Phoenix's current situation. Like, it's about compensating the other teams with Bradley Beal. Like, we just went over Bradley Beal's contract. You're not going to be able to move that with ease. Like, even if he agrees to it, some team, whoever that may be, whether that's Chicago, whether that's any of these other teams that we've talked about is getting involved in it, they're going to probably want picks with that to absorb that contract. Like, that's a pretty horrendous contract for the next 2 years.
Which is why I think the Suns traded their 2031 unprotected first to get the 27, the 25, the 29. Yeah. So now they have a little bit to work with. And and
it still may not be enough. Like, that's what's crazy. No, it definitely makes it better. And you're right. That's why that Utah pick was huge there. But I don't like.
And the other, by the way, the other name I've seen being thrown around a little bit is Nurkic, as like another potential trade piece. Currently their center. So again, it's like you're gonna have to get weirdly creative, but in doing so, you're gonna lose even more depth.
Yeah,
and that's the problem. So I don't think it doesn't do anything for me.
No, you're already scraping together to build up a war chest. And so that's kind of my point. It's like the only thing that makes sense almost is if, something you have to trade for a pretty big contract, and it has to be a questionable one almost. And that's why I just think that Lavine would make more sense. There's also like Lavine's been on the record saying he doesn't want to leave Chicago. And so if Zach says, I don't want to be traded, then that kind of just maybe is what it is too. Like it's tough because you're right. And on top of it, it all comes back to the point that you brought up at the very beginning of the episode is that Bradley Beal can nix any one of these trades.
Like, just say no.
Say no here. And
right.
I don't know. Like, if Phoenix had a war chest already and you didn't have to worry about like what you'd attach to moving Beal, I don't think this would be that big of an issue. But it is like you almost have to rebuild that war chest to just move Bradley Beal. And then even after you get Jimmy Butler, you're kind of in the same situation you were before.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gross, and I don't feel confident about it. Even if you put him on the team, like, cool. I just feel bad about the depth, and everyone seems to be having a little bit of down year. Like even Grayson Allen's numbers are down a little bit.
They're game above 500. Like they're 7-3 in their last 10, and KD is playing great. Like that does matter. KD and Book are phenomenal, and you will take your chances off that. But like, it's a playing team right now.
Yeah.
Like the Clippers are out of the playing game. The Clippers who have not had Kawhi for most of the year, who Ty Lue's been just doing Ty Lue magic. Like Phoenix has all this money tied up. Like I think the only reason you don't feel worse right this second is because the Warriors are right there with you. Like they're another team to, talk about eventually. The only one other big trade thing I want to hit before we dive into Ballin and Fallin, it's more of an off. Did you see Anthony Davis's comments about the Lakers and what they should do at the deadline?
No.
Anthony Davis basically said that he hopes the Lakers go out and get a traditional 5. He said that, kind of I played my best ball when I'm at 4. And, he's been playing a lot of 5 this year, but he specifically went back to the year when they won the title and was like, hey, our most formidable seasons, we had JaVale McGee, we had Dwight Howard. And that kind of allowed him to stretch out a little bit. And so I thought that was interesting. Maybe you take a look at a few places there. A little bit of familiarity. I know, look, if the Sixers make Andre Drummond available, potential option.
You have options, and Anthony
more expensive, but if Chicago makes Vooch available,
that would be interesting. And maybe that is one of the fallouts that happens with a potential trade with the Bulls like that. But that's interesting. And even looking just at Anthony Davis's numbers, his 3-point percentage is pretty high up right now. Actually, he's not taking a ton, but if you are going to let him spread out a little bit more, maybe if he's going to be the guy you're relying on a little bit, then that's something you got to look into. I don't know what the Lakers are going to do to get it, because they also feel like they're a little strapped in their tradability right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right about that. Definitely a little. You have to get creative, but. I think at least with a move like that, it won't be you won't need quite as much.
Right.
Move around the margins a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, who's balling, who's falling? Our NBA version of the stock market. We always like start with the good before we start with the bad. So Justin, I'll start with you. Who is balling this week?
The NBA is bowling this week for the NBA Paris games. They had one on Thursday, January 23rd. They have another one. I actually think it's tonight. But the 23rd game was the most watched regular season NBA game ever on television in France. NBA League Pass viewership was up 41% in France and 19% globally versus last year's Paris game. Last night's game was also the most viewed NBA global game ever on the league's social media accounts. They had over 218 million plus views across Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Who's posting?
Yo, you're playing arcade games on LinkedIn. Hang on. Hang on now.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, I can't talk. Snapchat, Threads, TikTok, X, YouTube, all that stuff. Both games on the 23rd and 25 sold out in 24 hours, and they had fans from 53 different countries and territories purchasing tickets to this game. Like we said, they have another game. Oh, it's actually at noon today. It's actually going to go off in like an hour. So cool. Either way, good numbers. Obviously, good reception to the Paris games. It's cool to see. Wemby also absolutely cooked the other night on the 20th.
And that's what it really comes down to, right? It's like you already put themselves in you already put the event in the perfect situation to succeed by making it a Wemby-themed event. It's Wemby's homecoming.
That's how you have to do it, though. Yeah, that's how you have to do it.
And it was great. And then Wemby just lived up to the hype. Like you said, 30-point double-double. He's phenomenal in the first game over there. The game today is Spurs Pacers. So again, more Wemby in Paris. It was just the NBA did a really great job in all the marketing of the event. I'm glad that the results showed. In terms
they should have done Timberwolves Spurs in Paris. You would have had Gobert versus Wemby. Both.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah. I was like, why do you want to send Ant to Paris? You're right. Yeah,
no, well, it would be a huge brawl too. But you get the two Frenchmen going at it. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Obviously teammates over the summer. Just definitely, big success for them there. All right, balling for me this week is Milwaukee. They're 8-2 in their last 10. Some of the wins include forgive me, I'm pulling it up. Okay, so they big win over the Heat, and obviously that's coming back from Paris. So that's give them credit for coming off that and being able to get it done. You have the win against the Sixers. You have the win against the Raptors. You beat the Magic, which they dominated the Magic. Kings, another one over the Magic. Spurs, Raptors. Their only losses in this time are over to the Knicks. They lost to the Knicks 140-106. On the 12th, they had 2 losses to Brooklyn and Portland before that, which was kind of like we were talking about a little bit earlier after the NBA Cup, where it was like you kind of thought they turned the corner there. And then you have like a weird, kind of win 2 games, lose 2 games. It feels like the Bucks are rounding into form here now. The only knock, I guess, is that a little bit of softer competition, but at the same time, like you're thoroughly beating all these teams. You're doing what you're supposed to. They've climbed all the way up in the standings now to 4th, 2 games up on Indiana, who started to surge a little bit here as of late as well. But we know how to slow start. But and more importantly, you just are putting yourselves out of the play-in position right now. They've got a good 4 games up on that right now. And I think that's where they want to be, avoiding a potential first-round series with the Knicks or with the or with the Celtics or the Cavs. So, if Milwaukee could hold on to that 4 spot, I think that's a super ideal scenario for them.
They really do feel like they're putting themselves back into that top-tier core conversation. So shout out to the Bucks because, they really started slow, and it's been a huge turnaround for them. So probably one of the better turnaround stories, at least from the beginning of the season, that we have in the NBA right now.
I said that Paris. I meant what I got them mixed up. They had the game in New Orleans that got postponed because of the snow.
Oh yeah.
A little bit of chaos there, but
that's how it goes. That's how it goes.
Beat the Heat after that, so it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, we talked about at the beginning, like it's all of it. It's not just Florida. It was New Orleans. It was Mississippi. It was parts of Texas. It was Alabama, places, Georgia. That listen. I would be more scared to drive in the snow down there. Like driving in the snow, period, is already not great if you don't have the like we last Thursday had a random like 1.5 inches get dropped on us, but it was during rush hour and it was a little hectic because those roads weren't treated necessarily. Down there, they're just never treated and no one knows how to do it. So I would be terrified to drive on the roads in the South during the snow.
Yeah, well, and not even that, yeah, and I mean, we just joked about it earlier, the Philly game that had a ton of snow last weekend, and I was like, "Oh, driving home from that has gotta be a absolute
Yeah.
disaster trying to do that." You're taking 6 hours to get home, so, yeah, man, bummer that a lot of games getting moved this year, from really just a whole bunch of different natural, phenomenons, I guess,
Yeah.
but either way, my Fallen is going to the Thunder. They have 8 losses this year. I believe that's still the case. Hold on, let me make sure I didn't miss one. Yeah, 8 losses this year, and 3 are to the Mavericks. And what's concerning is Luka has played in 0 of those 3 games. So just something to keep an eye on down the line. I know nothing necessarily matters until the playoffs, but there's a good chance the Thunder run into the Mavericks in the playoffs. And so, with that, this is just something to keep in the back of the mind because Luca may be healthy at that point. Team might be clicking at that point, and if they're able to win without Luca, you would imagine things might even be a little uglier with Luca in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, look, like Dallas is still here. They're straight off the finals last year. Like
Yeah.
that was the conference final, or that was the second round matchup where obviously they were eliminated. Yeah, you worry about teams starting to get in their head a little bit, right? And when you lose 3 games, you start to wonder because weird things happen. Like you can be a dominant team in the NBA all year, and then just have that one team who has your number. They kind of have that matchup. And, you start to wonder after you lose 3, you start to wonder if Dallas doesn't feel that way a little bit over OKC.
Yep.
Again, if you're OKC, I think you can also go, hey, we don't have Chet. Like we're
Yeah.
missing one of our guys too. But
Yep.
when Dallas doesn't have Luka, I think that, that's a
Cool.
much bigger deal.
Add both those guys back into the mix, and I feel like, yeah, we're still where we're sitting right now.
Well,
Yeah.
Derek
So,
Lively's missed some time too recently.
yeah,
So like Dallas had a few injury things of their own.
exactly. So,
So,
either
all
way.
right, balling for me this week, or falling for me this week, excuse me, I should say. A very unfortunate one. We know they're near and dear to my heart, but kind of the opposite of the Bucks right now. The Orlando Magic, losers of 5 straight into tonight. They are 2-8 in their last 10. Really what tipped it for me was their loss on Thursday against Portland, 101-79, but it was in Orlando, so kind of extra ugly. That's off a loss to Toronto, who we know isn't playing that great. A few of these other ones a little more respectable. Losses to Minnesota, Milwaukee twice, Boston, Denver. No one's really going to knock that. They actually beat the Knicks back on Monday the 6th, but a few of those starting to, especially like I said, back to back with Toronto and Portland. They've got a game against Detroit later tonight, and then Miami, who we know hasn't exactly been great, on the 27th. And so you hope maybe they can turn it around there. Obviously, Detroit's been really competitive this season. You start to wonder if this is the just impact of all the injuries adding up. Like they've got Paulo back, Franz is checking back into the lineup, but it has always been somebody, right? Like you're still missing. You missed Carter Jr. at times. Jalen Suggs is actively missing time, and I think that's a way bigger deal than probably most people realize. The other one too, and shout out to our guy Andy Jordan for tipping me off to this. The Magic are 1-9 without Goga Bitadze, who has missed time here recently, and I knew he had a big impact on this team, but that was an alarming number when I was like 1-9 without Goga. That's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. That was at 1-9. Okay. That's, yeah.
That was definitely because like Suggs' impact, I think we all know what it is. Like he's kind of he's the heart and soul of this team, in my opinion. Like how hard he plays, the defensive identity. You could understand the drop there, but like, yeah, Goga apparently a huge part of that as well. And it is like it's unfortunate because they've slid all the way back into playing position right now, right? And you've got a good gap on the Bulls, but you're kind of here fighting with Atlanta. And a few of these other teams, like you're fighting with Detroit to try to get back into that playing spot. But, this is a team who, at the beginning of the year, you feel like they could beat anybody. And I still think when they're healthy, they've got a good shot against that. But they're going to kind of have to, it's that dig deep part of the season. Like we're halfway through, it's going to get more meaningful. And their guys are going to come back, but you got to find a way to win some games in the meantime and stay afloat.
And I was telling, the resident Orlando fan here at our office, Chase, I was telling him, I was like, this happens with the Magic all the time. They start so hot, and then we hit All-Star break, and it just the wheels come for whatever reason. Bro, you go back and look at the seasons, I feel like at least out of the last 6 years, there's been 3 times where before the All-Star break, Orlando Magic are in the top 2 or 3 record-wise, and we're like, "Oh, this is it. They finally got it." And then by the end of the season, we're sitting 10 or 11 in the records, and it's like, dang, you know?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think this one
I
there's
know,
more of an
I
excuse
know,
for.
I know,
Um,
but it's
it's
damn.
tough. It's tough because you want to avoid the play-in because with this Magic team, it's like I feel like in a 7-game series, they can kind of compete. They can kind of compete with anybody. In a 1-gamer, though,
Yeah.
weird things can happen, and that's why it's so important to avoid that spot. There's no doubt about it. All right, should we switch over to Immaculate Grid quick? We can get a little speedy one in here quick.
Let's do it. Hold on, I'm sorry, I'm not sharing my screen, so let me do so.
If you want to watch the Immaculate Grid, of course, search Driving Dish NBA podcast on YouTube. You can subscribe there, and you'll be able to play along with us, get all the Immaculate Grids. This week, we have, and for the podcast listeners, this week from left to right, our columns are the Utah Jazz, the Indiana Pacers, and 10 rebounds a game per season. Our rows from top to bottom, the Sacramento Kings, the Chicago Bulls, and only one team. So anything that jumps out to you right away?
It's interesting. We talked about him already, Sabonis.
Sabonis, yeah.
Sabonis works for probably 10 rebounds per game. Actually, definitely works for 10 rebounds per game.
100%.
And he was with the Pacers at one point,
He was.
so he would work in 2 of these.
It's gonna be really popular in both of those places.
Yeah.
So, like that's the thing is where you want to put him. The other side of that of the Sabonis trade for Kings and Pacers that works is Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield definitely played for both. George Hill actually works for both of those spots as well on the top. He works for Jazz Kings and he works for Pacers Kings as well.
You know who I think works for Pacers Bulls?
Who?
Pacers Bulls. Hold on. Yes, Mike Dunleavy.
Oh, that's a good one. Shoot, I'm down. You already got me. You want to fire off Mike Dunleavy for Pacers Bulls by all means, bro.
Mike Dunleavy. Ooh.
The younger one, right? Yeah, his dad. I don't think you're talking about his dad.
Wait a sec. Why are there 2?
If he's one that you witnessed with your eyes.
Yeah. Well, not even definitely witnessed with my eyes, but also played with in NBA too.
His dad did play. Yeah,
that took me a sec though. I was like, wait, there's 2.
Man, Mike Dunleavy, all right.
Yeah, Mike Dunleavy, and then Dougie McBuckets would have also worked. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, he would have, that's right. He probably, I feel like, was one of the more popular ones this year. Who wanted Dunleavy played for Golden State, Pacers, Bucks, Bulls, Cavs, Hawks. Okay, sick.
Wait. Is Doug Doug's on the Kings right now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's on the Kings right now, I think, actually. Yeah,
so he would work. He would work Pacers.
He's on the Kings right now. You're right. That is actively happening.
So he would work Pacers Kings.
That's honest. Oh wow, it's honestly not a bad one.
He would definitely work Pacers Kings.
He works Bulls. Oh no, he doesn't. Never mind. Just kidding.
No.
He does not work for Bulls.
He wasn't on Jazz, right? Grayson Allen went to Jazz.
Grayson Allen did play for the Jazz. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we could do Doug there, unless you think that's going to be too much.
No, I'm fine with Doug there. Popular. I mean, Sabonis and Hield are going to be the top 2 there, like no doubt about it. I don't really think there's anybody else close, and I would argue George Hill probably is higher than that number there too, only because George Hill was on a lot of good, like he was on those Pacers teams that were going to conference finals. And
how does he spell it? McDermott. Doug. Let me
just do Doug.
Doug M. Yeah, there he is. M-D-E.
Sure.
All right. Yeah. 0.9. Wow. He's on the team right now, Kings. Come on.
I guess he's not playing real minutes. Yeah. I mean, how many minutes a game is he playing for the Kings right now? It's not many. 8.6.
Wow. So Kings 10 rebounds. You obviously have Boogie.
Yeah, Boogie, Sabonis.
Webber. Would you have didn't from Spurs didn't he go there? He was on the Spurs. He liked coffee maker in the locker.
Diaw?
Didn't Diaw go to the Kings afterwards? Or am I thinking of Zach Randolph?
Zach Randolph was definitely on the Kings. It was at the end of his career.
Did he get 10, do we think?
Oh, man.
That's a lot, but if he was there with Boogie, he might have cannibalized it. I don't know if that lined up.
Yeah, that's my thing is it was because it's at the end of his career. I'm more worried about the minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, that was literally the last season of his career. I think he played there.
Yeah. So, okay. I mean,
my sneaky one, and I think we haven't used him in a while, but again, it's the same sort of deal where it's at the end of his career, and so I don't know if he was doing it consistently enough. But the rebounding menace, Reggie Evans, also played in Sacramento at one point.
Evans, wow.
I don't think he would have, only because of his minutes. Like, I think he was definitely grabbing a ton of boards, but I don't know if he was in the minutes. So at that point, yeah, I'm looking and I say Sabonis, Weber, and Boogie.
I feel like
all going to be high.
Well, but here's my thing. I think people are going to go Sabonis, Kings, Pacers. So if we go Sabonis 10 rebounds, I think it gets cannibalized. Like it'll be lower because everyone went with him at this connect.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree.
That's where I think we can go Sabonis here. It'll probably be like 10-15%, but I still think that's going to be lower than like the more popular answer because he'll be used Pacers, Kings, connect.
I have one more like super boomer guess.
Okay.
And that would be Bob McAdoo. But I don't think I'm trying to remember because Bob McAdoo didn't play for the Kings franchise, but I don't remember whether the team he played for became the Kings or the Clippers. And so it's one of them. And I don't remember which one off the top. And so I don't want to go with it because of that. If it became the Kings, then he definitely has it. But I'm not nearly 100%. I'm kind of with you on Sabonis as well. Like Chris Webber's a Hall of Famer. He was with the Kings in their best successful run of the franchise. Boogie, again, like Boogie was such a central figure in the and no pun intended, during the 2010s with this team. So yeah, I think Sabonis is a good guess.
You want to go Sabonis?
Yeah.
Okay. Domantas Sabonis. 23. Okay.
Yeah,
a little higher than we want, but that's okay.
It's about what I expected.
Yeah.
I mean, any of those guesses were going to be high. That's the thing. So
yeah, I agree.
All right. Do you want to do George Hill for Kings Jazz then? I think that'll be quick.
Sure. Yeah, we can do Kings Jazz.
Because he's not super associated with either of those teams.
Kings Jazz. You said
George Hill. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm digging it.
He's become kind of 7%. They have 7. Wow. Okay.
Can we complete the white man 3-point shooter and go Kyle Korver?
I thought about it. It's going to be high, but you might as well.
We got to do it, right?
God, this is the whitest grid of all time already.
16%.
I am stunned he's not higher than 16. I really thought Kyle Korver
people don't remember him on the Jazz.
I know, but like they remember Kyle Korver.
I know, but not on the Jazz.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that was who he got traded for after the Sixers. He went to Utah after that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just Bulls 10 rebounds a game per season. The obvious one is Dennis Rodman. That's the number one that everybody's going to go to. Vooch is definitely up there. I'm trying to think of their other big men. So Joakim Noah had 10, I'm sure.
Do we think DeMar had it? DeRozan?
No.
No?
No. I don't think he had 10 rebounds a game.
Do you think he ever did? I'm going to look it up. He ever got close? Let me see.
I don't think so. No. I mean, he's a shooting guard. Why would he have 10 boards a game? Like, he's not Russ.
You never know.
Tyson Chandler got drafted by the Bulls, but I don't know if he was getting 10 a game there.
His closest. Joakim Noah. Did you say that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Boozer?
Oh, Boozer's interesting. Wow.
DeRozan had 6, was his most ever with the Spurs, actually, in 18-19.
Oh man, Boozer, that's a good one. Man, that's tough. Boozer, I feel like is like one of those right on the line guys.
I don't. Yeah, I'm not.
Like I said, I don't feel good about Tyson Chandler.
I feel good about Vooch. I feel like
Vooch.
Yeah. Vooch has definitely got it.
I feel great about
Noah. Definitely had it.
Noah had it for sure. Rodman is like I said,
Dennis. Yeah.
If you want, the other big from back then, I mean, he might be a little high, but I'm sure Horace Grant had 10.
Yeah, Grant's probably got it. Anybody random that did like a one-off with the Bulls that we're not thinking of?
I try to think of the old Bulls, and I just don't really remember them. Like my knowledge of the Bulls pre-MJ is crazy.
Well, who was the center for the Bulls, like, with Derrick Rose?
Noah. It was Joakim Noah.
But after Noah, or was Noah?
Oh my god, dude! Did you think Omer Sheik ever had 10?
Oh, Sheik. That's who I'm thinking of.
Oh
Dude,
man,
I don't
my
know.
only worry because the
I
Sheik
don't
was a
know.
board machine. It
Yeah.
was when he got to Houston. Chicago, he's coming off the
Yep.
bench, and that's where I worry about a little bit.
I mean,
Another darling of the grid who we play a lot and who's a little more famous, but it was towards the end of his career, so I just don't know. But it might work if it is Pau Gasol too.
oh yeah, did he?
I think he was an all-star in Chicago, so it's
Really?
plausible.
Dude, was he really? Wow.
Yeah.
I'm cool trying it if you want. I would say out of those, the most confident I feel that would be low is Vooch, even though he's there now. But if you want to try Powell, I'm down.
I'm fine with either.
I'm cool with either too.
We're really going white today,
I
huh?
was gonna say, you want to go Powell or Vooch? Which one
You
we
tell
thinking?
me. Dealer's choice.
Powell's going to be lower because I wouldn't even.
God, if this is wrong, I'm gonna feel real bad.
Nice.
Sick. All right.
0.9%. All right. Only one team. We can rattle them off a little bit here, I think.
Well, they each have one. They each have one easy answer. For Utah, it's John Stockton. For Indiana, it's Reggie Miller.
10 rebounds a game. Only one team.
I have an answer here that's going to work, and I know it's going to be low because he works for the Pacers, and I don't think we need to. At least if he got I mean, he's split with Sabonis. Never mind. I was really bullish on going for Miles Turner there. Miles Turner works for only one team in the Pacers, obviously.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't know if he has 10. I'm kind of because he was split with Sabonis at points.
No. You don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about 10. It's just one.
I know.
Team.
I'm saying with 10 rebounds a game, only one per team. I thought Miles Turner might work
there.
I thought he would have been low, but I'm also like,
I feel like we could go Embiid and it would probably be low.
Yeah, it would.
Honestly. It would. Yeah, I feel like we could go Embiid and it'd be low. And
yeah,
we'll just give him our Sixers plug.
Embiid, Jokic.
Yeah, Jokic would be higher than Embiid though.
I agree.
We could go Wemby.
Oh yeah, could go Wemby.
I bet Wemby's low actually.
I do Wemby.
Wembanyama. Yeah. Wow, 8%'s a little higher than I thought it would be. But okay.
The only one team generally only skews to legends or very young guys.
Yeah,
like that's why there's so many. That's why, like for Indy, Miles Turner is kind of like a rare in between, where it's like he's definitely not like a Hall of Famer, but he's been a very solid player for almost 10 years now. He's only been on Indy. I mean, the other way is to go young. Like for the Pacers, it's like like Benedict Mathurin works, for example. He's only been a Pacer. Trying to think of like other guys that they drafted this year.
We could have done Lauri Markkanen for
no, Lauri Markkanen's been on too.
No, for Bulls Jazz.
Oh yeah, that's probably the number one answer, actually. You're right. That's probably the number one answer.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, he would have been the that would have been a good one. Yeah, I mean other guys for
who's they draft recently?
Well, that's what I mean. I'm trying to think of who's on Indy now. So like, all their main guys like Hallie, Siakam doesn't work, TJ doesn't work, Obi Toppin doesn't work.
Dude.
Yeah, like even like a Aaron Nesmith doesn't work.
I'm saying I don't know. I feel like I don't know enough people in the Jazz right now that are young that like have just been there and not been through trade.
Well, yeah. I mean, they have a roster with a bunch of there's a bunch of fringe guys right now. And the main guys that are on the roster, you're right. Like Jordan Clarkson, Walker Kessler was in Minnesota.
All traded for.
Sexton was in Cleveland.
John Collins. They're all Clarkson. Yeah, they're all traded. And I don't know. We might just have to go chalky with it.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who they drafted this year.
I don't know. And I haven't watched enough freaking Jazz to even try to pull one out of a hat.
Yeah, I hate to go John Stockton here, but like it may have to be the move.
Let's just do it. Stockton, John S. That'll pull him up, right?
It's be like 95,
65%. Yeah,
because Malone doesn't work. Obviously,
no.
Like Malone went to the Lakers at the end of his career.
Yep.
Let's do Mathurin for the Pacers and only one team. I feel like he'll be low.
Mathurin, Benedict.
Yep. Close it out. Nice.
That was it. What was it? 12%? Still a little higher.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because it's like, right, after Reggie and after Miles,
Yeah.
I don't really know. Like, Mathurin was immediately who I went to. Like, he plays meaningful minutes for them. And like we said, a lot of their other guys have been here already.
Yep.
All right, you want to show the summary real quick? Let's see what we got.
We got
all right, top answers.
Reggie.
Our boy. Well, no, we said Reggie. Yeah,
did we? Okay.
Yeah. Our boy Rudy Gay, who we didn't mention, the top answer for Kings and Jazz. That's actually surprising. I feel like we use him a lot.
Yeah.
Sabonis was the top answer for Kings and Pacers, as we expected. Chris Webber, top answer for the Kings and 10 boards a game per season. Lauri Markkanen, who we mentioned late, top answer for Bulls and Jazz. Jalen Rose, top answer for Pacers and Bulls. Dennis Rodman, top answer, Bulls, 10 rebounds a game. John Stockton, Jazz, only one team. Reggie Miller for the Pacers, not surprised there. Bill Russell was your only one team, 10 rebounds a game.
They've got 48 players that played for Jazz exclusively.
That's the thing, dude. But those numbers are always high because they're always like one and done guys. They're G League guys. For 6 games. Like, there are multiple guys on there who I know would have been like 0.1%. I just don't know who they are.
Walker Kessler.
Did he never play for minutes? Oh, I guess he never suited up for minutes.
I was like, wait a second.
You're right,
dude, that
makes sense. No, you're right.
I was like, wait,
he was in that trade. He got drafted it was in the Gobert trade. He got drafted. I thought he maybe played there for a little bit. You're right. He did only play for Utah. Damn.
That sucks. The people that played played the most games, Stockton, like you said, Mark Eaton, Daryl Griffith, Aaron James, James Hardy, and then we're at Walker Kessler. So like that's your guys that have played at least over 150 games for them.
Yeah, the rookies this year that would have worked were hold on, Cody Williams,
Isaiah Collier,
Isaiah Collier,
Flipowski, if I can say it.
Yeah, Kyle Flipowski.
Harkless.
I think Keontae George has only played for Utah.
Yep, 100. Yep.
Johnny Juzang has only played for Utah.
Taylor Hendricks is another one that was, I guess, last year.
Yeah,
he played 2 seasons.
UCF guy.
Yeah, so
all right. That's what I mean. Like, you're talking about, like, it's either legends or brand new guys, or occasionally you get that middle in between. To recap our grid one last time, for Kings and Jazz, we got George Hill. For Kings and Pacers, Doug McDermott. For Kings, 10 rebounds a game, Domantas Sabonis. For Bulls and Jazz, Kyle Korver. For Bulls and Pacers, Mike Dunleavy. For Bulls, 10 rebounds a game, Pau Gasol. For Jazz, only one team, John Stockton. For Pacers, only one team, Benedict Mathurin. And for 10 rebounds a game, only one team, Victor Wembanyama. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Driving Dish NBA podcast. We appreciate you guys as always. Leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad, or read them on the podcast. If you are not an Apple user, Google Play Store, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Player FM, anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find us.
And if you want video version of the podcast, we're on YouTube, Driving Dish NBA on YouTube. Subscribe so you know when new episodes are coming out.